Hello. Hope everybody's doing great today. I just got done watching Avengers Endgame. What a spectacular movie it was. To be honest, I don't even know where I want to start. Basically, want to do some spoilers here about the movie. Um, right now, it's the 25th, 3 o'clock in the morning. The movie isn't even out in the States yet. I had to wait until 6 p.m. Thursday. But went ahead and downloaded a copy online. Got a international cam copy, so HD 720p. So the video footage I saw was a little bit rough, but it was enough for me to make it through and watch the movie. Wondering where you can download such things? You can always find it on such websites as the Pirate Bay, of course. If you know how to download torrents, then you know what to do. But let's skip past all that garbage and start talking about the movie. Movie was great. I'll probably talk a lot of crap about it because I'm a movie buff, but hands down, first off, movie was great. They included a bunch of characters. They did a lot of scenes. They did stuff from the comic books. They did cool combos from seemed like video games. I was pretty impressed by it overall. But I'm here to criticize and discuss. So yeah, let's dive into it. First off, pacing. Oh man, the first, if you've seen the movie, and I hope you have, otherwise stop watching. I don't want to spoil this entire movie for you if you haven't watched. But first 16 minutes, man. Geez, we were just like running for the finish lines in the first 16 minutes of the film. I really, really can't emphasize enough how fast paced that first 16 minutes was. It was just cut after cut after cut, hammering home the plot of we have to get to Thanos. That is the number one thing the team has to do, and we have to do it right now. So yeah, they do it. They find Thanos, and lo and behold, he doesn't have what they're looking for. And yeah, it's kind of a drop. Get that build up where you're like, we know what happened last movie. We want to get revenge. We want to avenge all these fallen people. And you finally get to Thanos, and it's just he's like a shell of his former self. He doesn't have armor on. He's just fucking farming in his garden. I just I don't know how seriously you're supposed to take that. I mean, they really showed you the humanity of Thanos in the last film, and we got the whole Thanos didn't do anything wrong ideal. Um, so it's kind of pitiful seeing him that way, and I don't know how I feel about that scene. His death is almost undeserved, but I guess that's again like hammering it home with maybe he didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, like Thor taking him out like that is just it's kind of pitiful. It's kind of just sad. They're trying to make a humorous moment there by him later recapping that he went for the head. Because if you remember in the previous movie, they specifically have him go for the guy's heart, basically. Thanos tells him he fucked up and should have gone for the head. And right afterwards is when the snap happens. So, the whole time Thor's thinking about he should have just gone a couple inches up and this would have never happened. But yeah, I just man, I don't know how to feel about that scene, and we were running for the hills for that scene. They just really wanted to get to Thanos. I mean, we were just sprinting to that line, and then we get there, and it's just like, I feel dirty afterwards. I kind of felt like it was an underwhelming scene, and if they just needed to introduce the real plot, which is fuck, we have to go find the stones again. You didn't have to have like 16 minutes of build up there. Having Thanos disappear to another planet where you just have to then go find him again and then find out that he doesn't have the stones, like it's needless. You could have also just had him walk through another portal onto Earth. Or just, I mean, you didn't need that 16, 20 minutes of build up. if that's what you're gonna do for the plot. I mean, we could have just said, "Hey, we detected these massive, electromagnetic disturbances," and it not be proof of the snap, but it be proof of the stones being eradicated from the universe. I'm not really a fan of that 16-minute build up. It really didn't do anything for me. I almost felt like you could have just started the movie with all those people in his hut just being like, yeah, so we found you and we lost before. Here we are now, so we're gonna try it again for a second time. But that's not what they did, and man, it went for a 2 hour and 45 minute movie. It's almost 3 hours. Yeah, they could start chopping wherever they like. It's a little egregious, in my opinion. But after we get to the real plot, which is have to go find the stones again. But it's not Dragon Ball Z. They're not in the same universe. We don't just go to other planets to find the stones all over again. I was kind of cracking myself up while I was watching the movie, just being like, they literally just pulled like a Dragon Ball GT move, where the stones are basically just you can grant wishes, and once they're used, they're scattered again. So yeah, they go universe jumping and have to go grab stones. But I mean that idea for them to jump to another universe, that takes 40 minutes of build up of just, hey, now we like no one thinks that Ant-Man is dead until this movie. And they slide in all this extra information to make you think he's dead, just so it can be a semi surprise that he comes back. But I mean, if you've seen the Ant-Man movie, you know he's off in the quantum realm. I know the time periods are a little bit different. They don't really sort of skirt it around. When the movie comes out isn't necessarily the chronological order. Doesn't mean that that movie came out in that year. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of them trying to fake Scott's death, Ant-Man's death, just so it can be a surprise for him to come back. Because, I mean, there's no reason to believe he's dead. No reason to believe he's died in the snap. If you've seen Ant-Man, you have every reason to believe he's alive. So when he does come back, it's like, well, no shit. Why would you be? You weren't even here when that supposedly happened. I like the gimmick that everybody thinks that it's ridiculous to do time travel, because honestly, I don't like it in this. That says a lot from like a science fiction fan who actually likes time travel movies. I fucking loathe it in this film. There's so many different ways that you could have done it, and it seems like everybody and their mother kind of called it out after seeing Ant-Man, that it was, ooh, we're gonna do something with the quantum realm, and it's like, well, get a little timey-wimey, and it starts poking holes in your plot because it did time nonsense. Had I written it, which of course I never will, but had I written it, I really think the key to their success would have just been Scarlet Witch. She's dramatically underutilized in this film. I'll talk about this later, but they have really weird things about power levels. Where in one film they're amazing, in the next film they're garbage. And I don't like, Scarlet Witch should just be like unbelievable, top tier. So should Gamora. Gamora is intergalactic assassin, top tier. Like, there is no one better. Thanos technically shouldn't even be better. Thanos should just be stronger. But yeah. Scarlet Witch should have been utilized a lot more. I feel like the key to the success, by skipping past the whole quantum realm bullshit, is just to use Scarlet Witch's actual powers. In the movie, they keep showcasing her just using red magic. It's like, oh, I have like ESP and I can pick things up and throw them at people. But her real power is to like warp reality. You sort of get a tiny bit of taste of that when she's on the opposite side. She's evil and Ultron. She's sort of like fucking with people's heads and giving them, glimpses of possible future timelines. It's because she fucks with reality. That's like her whole spiel. Um, and I really want the love thing with her and Vision to like continue. I know in the comic books they like even has children and like it gets all kinds of wonky and crazy, and I really looked forward to that relationship. But I guess I had forgotten that they pulled the stone out of him in the previous movie, so he's dead, and I guess that's not covered under the wishing well of the stones being able to bring people back to life. I guess that kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, in the previous movie, we also showed how the time stone could then bring him back. And Scarlet Witch bends reality. I can kind of understand why she doesn't do it in the previous film because Thanos has the reality bending stone. So, he uses the time stone to bring back the Vision. Then it's like, well, she could also just wipe him away. They could just go at it using reality powers. I understand why they didn't use it there, but once she's brought back, it would have been so fucking amazing for her to have used her powers to then bring back the Vision. And since she has reality bending powers, it would be great for her to then utilize that without them having the reality stone. Um, and that would allow them to undo like a lot of the stuff. I really would have voted for Scarlet Witch with her powers to be the plot line of how to change the way things happen with the stones instead of going the awkward time travel route. I feel like the more people discuss time travel, the more they'll just be like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Professor Hulk and Sorcerer Supreme, the female version, basically explained that by going back in time, you can't alter your own past, make a new timeline. And they really skirt past that idea with the Captain America thing. So I kept turning my wheels thinking about how this could be better. Don't have to mess with fucking time travel. The quantum realm. That's just like garbage lingo because I mean we don't know anything about true quantum mechanics. We don't have the understanding to tie it with our regular physics. And they're just like, well, if we did know, we could travel through time and space. And I'm like, oh, we're really fucking pushing and stretching it here when you say shit like that. But enough about time travel nonsense. I just wanted to say that Scarlet Witch was used way more in the movie. I would have loved to see Vision return. And my main reason I want to see Vision return is because Captain Marvel is just worse than Vision. And it seems terrible to say because I didn't watch Captain Marvel, the actual film, and it's because I don't have any interest in it. I also never watched the first Captain America film, where he gets frozen in ice and does the Tesseract. I just know that those events happen because of the events in the Avengers. They talk about it. Hey, yeah, I was frozen in ice. Yada yada yada. But I know the time period of Captain Marvel is supposed to be, I guess, in between Captain America and current day. So her and Nick Fury are like buddy buddies. But it's she's like the Superman aesthetic where all these people get together and like their power still isn't good enough, but all you really needed was just Captain Marvel. In the DC universe, it's like Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman get together in order to defeat a foe. But in reality, we don't need either of those people. We just need Superman. And that's kind of what happens here is that you create a character that's just so ridiculously overpowered that you cannot have her in the film for 99% of the movie. That's exactly what happens in this film is she's like an afterthought. They show her talking on screen and I'm like, "Oh fuck." I say talking on screen. She's like doing a video chat. I'm like, "Oh fuck, I didn't watch that film. Is this going to be bad?" No, because then she immediately says that she has business to take care of on other planets and you won't see me for a while. She literally tells the audience, "You're not going to see me for a while." And I don't know how long it is, but it felt like hours until she literally popped back up, was like a part of the film again. So I almost feel like they just like half-assed threw her in there. Which you know, it's just the classic Superman syndrome that you gave her way too much power. She's a fucking alien from another planet, and she would just KO Thanos, right? It's the same thing with the Hulk, really. Like you assume that the Hulk is so powerful, he would just KO Thanos. And in the previous films, I just thought it was because of him having the mind stone. Like he had stones in his gauntlets. Like, well, even if you weren't stronger than Hulk before, you probably are now with the enhancement of the stones. But man, they again going back to power levels. It's all over the place in this movie. Um, Captain Marvel top tier in terms of power level. She just runs herself through spaceships like she's fucking butter. Um, she stops Thanos from snapping and proves that she's stronger than Captain America. And I guess stronger than Hulk. Because, I mean, Hulk gets pussy whipped in the previous film. He is completely underutilized here, and they just use him for comedic effect, which I thought was infuriating. Like, are you not going to have Hulk come out and bitch smack fucking Thanos? Especially when Thanos, he doesn't have any of the gems for 99% of the time. He has this huge fight with Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. He doesn't have any gems. And maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought that the only reason they were having trouble in the previous battle was literally because he has the gems. And now that he doesn't have them, and it's like they have 5 years more experience fighting, they're worse? Like, Captain America gets his ass beat, and Thanos doesn't have any of the gems. It has nothing to do with the gems. It's just, them getting their ass beat for the purpose of upping the power level of Thanos artificially. Um, didn't like that. Wasn't a fan of that. I really felt like the power levels were just all over the fucking place. Uh, it's weird. But I guess that's just always something you're gonna have an issue with. You've created a bunch of characters with weird, unique powers, and then you have humans running around. It's weird to place actual superheroes next to people like Hawkeye. Although I gotta say, Hawkeye got way more badass in this film. I love the whole ninja-esque thing. Basically, doesn't use his bow for half the movie. Instead, just runs around with a katana. I'm like, all right, I can approve that. Like, I can get into that. I dig that. So I thought that was good. That was interesting. I like the way his. I don't know if you'd say his power level changed, but I mean he becomes way more fierce. It's like, damn, like before he's just trying to survive, and now he's murdering people left and right. You could say the same thing, ironically, for Spider-Man. There's a really, really good part in this massive battle scene at the end of the movie where Spider-Man activates his insta-kill system, and I was like, thank goodness someone was paying attention and watching that fucking Spider. Because when they mentioned that and all those gadgets that he has in that new custom suit, I was like, great. That's going to be said once and never brought up again. And they don't use all of his abilities in this movie, but I mean, he gets his spider legs popped out and gets his insta kill system, and Spider-Man just starts murking aliens left and right, and that's pretty funny. That's not how I view Spider-Man. It's kind of like seeing Ninja Turtles pick up, you know, machine guns killing people, or have Batman straight up break people's necks. You're like, that's not what I'm used to, even if they are dark. That's not the character type I usually associate. Kind of interesting. Um, there's a handful of characters that I guess are just permadead and or retired. So we were talking about how Vision just doesn't get brought back. I really dislike that. Like I could talk about that a lot. I just Vision is so much better of a character than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is such a waste in this movie. But Black Widow ends up doing the whole sacrifice your life thing for the Soul Stone. And at the beginning, I didn't really like it because it's like Tasha has nothing to live for. Like she doesn't need to be a sacrificial pawn. She needs to have a life and have a happy ending. And they're willing to give it to like every other fucking character except her. And I don't know why. I don't understand that arc that they're trying to give her, where she feels bad for like 5 years, takes over Iron Man's place as like head coordinator, and then in the end she just quote unquote needs to do something right. And it's like you've been doing right for a very long time. The last 5 years of your life you've been doing wonderful things. There's no reason for her to be a sacrificial pawn that way, except someone's got to do it, and homeboy Hawkeye's got kids, so can't can't let them die. And that's I don't know how to feel about that either, because that was just shoehorned into the last movie. But they really build up on Hawkeye has a family, he has kids, and he loves them. He'll do anything to get back. That's his story arc now. I only appreciate it because it turns him into a crazy ninja assassin. And I wonder what his wife thinks of all of his rad new tattoos. Like, are they gonna have that discussion? If anybody noticed, he had like a full fucking shoulder of just like Asian dragon looking tattoos, I think. And I was like, so when you get home to your wife, she's probably gonna ask about that sleeve. And you're all 5 years older than all of the people that got brought back, which I don't know if everybody realizes that, but people got brought back, no time has passed for them. So Spider-Man goes back to school. He's the same age and he's in the same grade. But his friends, or people he knew that were in that class, if they didn't get snapped, they've lived for 5 years and graduated high school and are like in fucking college. If you remember, Ant-Man's daughter has aged, but Ant-Man hasn't. So it's this super weird thing where everybody comes back and 5 years has passed for half the population, but the other population literally doesn't remember anything except being turned into dust and then coming back. Weird. It's a weird idea. It's a very weird, unique idea. But yeah, so much happened in this movie. I love the idea of the time heist. It is a wonderful idea. They do a great episode on Doctor Who where they do a time heist. I was wondering if there was a little bit of inspiration from that episode. I would have loved if the entire movie was just the time heist, where it started with Thanos at his hut getting beheaded by Thor, and just went into the time heist, and that was just the entire movie. Like, I literally wouldn't even need the fuck up battle sequence in the end where Thanos and Nebula cross back over. Like, I would have been fine with them just being quasi successful in the time heist than like fighting people back in time who were trying to stop them. So the fact that that was like a sub part of the movie, that it was just like, yeah, this is like plot B, and there's like, you know, plot A, B, C, D, E, and F in this whole fucking movie. I was kind of amazed that that was just like a tiny little subplot, and I would have loved to spend more time them trying to steal those gems and like going through it, but it kind of just turned into this nice little short period. I like that things didn't go as planned. There's a lot of things that I wonder how they're supposed to affect things, but it's weird because they claim that by going back in time, they haven't modified their future, that if they changed anything, it would just create a new timeline. So the first thing to bring up is that Thor's brother Loki gets away with the Tesseract. So I don't know. Is Loki not dead then? Is Loki like alive and well? Because you know, like that Loki never meets. I don't know. See, it's weird when they say that it doesn't change their future. Because normally you would say that Loki never meets Thanos in the previous movie, so he doesn't get killed. And I think there's supposed to be a Loki television series, so maybe that's just literally lining up with the time traveling adventures of Loki. You know, that little alternate slice of life for him. But yeah, I kind of wonder how that messes with the timeline. And there's a bunch of other stuff that they did, especially that Captain America bit in the end. Man, like I cannot get over how that doesn't make sense because of what they said. And again, they say that the way time travel works is if you change the past, you create a new timeline. So at the end, Captain America is going to put all of the stones back they originally came from the second they were removed from the timeline. That way it seems like nothing ever happened. So it's like they take them, they use them in their timeline, and then give them back, and like no time has passed. Timeline they stole. But does that and like brings Mjolnir back, which is a whole nother fucking story about Captain America and fucking Thor's hammer. But he brings the stones back, and like it just leaves so many fucking questions. Like, if he stays with that girl, there's two versions of Captain America in that timeline, right? There's one that gets frozen in the ice and is still Captain America. And then there's him who then lives out a life with the love of his life that he never got to do originally in this movie timeline. But then he shows back up as an old man with the Captain America shield. So what the fuck does that even mean? I mean, there should be two versions of Cap. And the one that got frozen in the ice is the one that's Captain America. And that's the one that should have the shield. And nothing should change for him, right? Nothing. He should be the same age. He shouldn't look like an old man. But they're saying, oh no, this is the one that married the love of his life. Well, if that's the case, he's not fucking Captain America, right? Like, he went and chose a different life, and theoretically that woman knows nothing about the second Captain America who's frozen in fucking ice for 45 years, right? I mean, but that old man shows back up at the end of the movie, and then, you know, I get the purpose. He's handing off the shield to the next one in line. You know, it's like passing Indiana Jones' hat. They did it in the comic books, so my understanding was Sam War Machine was supposed to happen, at least via the comic books, that he was supposed to become the next Captain America. You know, not only is it nice because it's, I'll say it, going a white man to a black man. But it's also nice because Tony's dead, so like Iron Man is like over, and like, who's gonna mess with Iron Man's suit? It's not gonna be Tony's wife, right? Like, War Machine's just done at that point. No one can operate that technology, and it's like Iron Man is tired. I think it's crazy that he gets to go from becoming, Iron Man 2.0 to Captain America 2.0. What a fucking character! Like, he's been two different superheroes, and he doesn't have any powers. Um, it's just something else. But yeah, um, I don't like what they did with Captain America at the end. Like, it's fine for him to have that life, but it doesn't make sense. You've poked holes in your own plot line, especially by saying if you change the past, it just creates a new timeline. So I just really scratched my head at that scene. That's why I don't like when people do time travel stuff. They don't know how to do it. They screw up their own lore. Happens. I digress. I'm trying to think of something else that I can talk about. Um, okay, there's the whole gag with drunken Thor. Don't I mean it's all for comedic effect. One of those things that I can enjoy laughs in the movie, but I wonder again about pacing. Like, do we need to see Thor as a drunken loser in Asgard? Do we need this 10-minute scene where they all go visit Thor in Asgard, go see his house where he's just a drunk living in filth with I don't remember the guys' names, but the gladiator dudes from Thor Ragnarok. One's just like a giant rock guy. Also, how much did Epic Games pay to have Fortnite in the movie? Like, I'd love to see that figure. I really would, because my eyes rolled into the back of my head when I saw he was playing Fortnite. Like, it literally could have been any other game on the face of the planet, and it would have been funny that Thor was still talking crap. But because it was Fortnite, I was like, oh man, like they're really edging towards the kids there, man. Um, I mean, it could have been anything. He could have been playing CS:GO, like it could have been original Counter Strike. It could have been Doom. It could have been a Thor game, like, but nope. They chose Fortnite. Again, they're setting up laughs and gags and stuff like that, but I don't know, like at the end of the movie it's still sort of like drunken Thor that still has like a beer belly, who's not in shape, and I don't know, are they trying to just like infer that he's his father now, cuz his father, I don't know, kind of got a little large there in the end before he retired. I don't know how to feel about that. Honestly, I thought it was just a deal about him passing down the title of Thor. Like, I thought the previous Asgardian, I don't remember her name, but she rides a fucking Pegasus, for Christ's sake. Hard to mistake which one I'm talking about. I thought she was just going to be the next Thor. Because I know in the comic book for a short period of time there was a female Thor. So I legitimately just thought he was gonna like hand her the battle axe that he had like forged and just been like, all right, I guess you're the new Thor now. I'm out of here. But that's not what he did. He made her queen. And I'm not sure what that means either. I guess she's just royalty now. And she'll just take care of everything in Scotland, the new Asgard. Um, um, I almost wish they went back to Asgard during the time heist. That would have been a great thing, especially since, well, I mean, they did go back to Asgard, but they could have gone back at a different point in time where stuff was way more crazier. They they just went back to a random time where everything was peaceful. They didn't have to worry about anything. I think I don't really remember the Thor movies too well because honestly, the only one that's really that good, in my opinion, is Ragnarok. I think his wife is supposed to be there, and there's a stone inside of her for some reason. That's the reason why they're there to extract it. But I kept thinking about like that Tesseract is on Asgard for a really really long time, and there should be a point in which that Tesseract and the orange one that they get from Thor's girlfriend are both on the planet at the time. There's a bunch of times where there's just a bunch of stuff all together. So I like that they figured that out and we're like, oh, instead of just us individually popping to different places in history, let's just pop to one place where they're all, one place. So that was a clever idea. Um, yeah. Girl power moment. Big fight scene in the end. There's that lovely scene where Spider-Man has that huge gauntlet with all the stones in it, and he's kind of gotten his butt beat a little bit, and Captain Marvel comes swooping in. She goes through like a bunch of strips, just completely eviscerates them, and comes up to Spider-Man and is like, "I believe you have something for me." Um, Spider-Man's a little cheekish, and he's like, "I don't know how you're gonna get through all of that." And all of the female superheroes show up. I can't even count them all. There's like 8 of them. They just have that. Without saying it, they just, it's all of the girls, and they just pan across, and then there's just like the Spider-Man in the middle. I think that's one of those things which is it's pandering, and it's absolutely fine. I think it's weird to hate on that moment, but it's also pretty funny because it's obvious what they're trying to do. They just didn't want to go out of their way and say it. But yeah, I would delete Captain Marvel from this film. Just put Vision back in it. Um, when oh yeah, Steve Rogers, the whole hammer thing. When Captain America, well, there's a scene basically where Thor has his battle axe. He's gone back in time already, and he's actually gotten Mjolnir. Now he's got 2 weapons forged from dying suns. And there's a moment where he throws Mjolnir. He's just got the battle axe. You think he's about to die, and Thanos is like shoving the battle axe into his chest. And you see the hammer fly, and you basically know that Thor's struggling so hard, and he's not like reaching out with a hand, that there's no way he's the one calling it. For that brief instant, I was like, oh my god, it's fucking Vision. Because as far as we know, Vision was the only one that was worthy enough to pick up the hammer. And I was so fucking excited at that moment. And I was so fucking let down when it was Captain America who did it. And I don't know, man. That's just like, does Captain America need Mjolnir? No. Is it cool? Yes. Is he worthy? Oh man, I don't know. That's I mean, I guess Captain America is supposed to represent, the best there is, but I kind of also just feel like anybody that's from America, the United States, is just sitting there like patting themselves on the back for being American. I I guess I just would have anticipated that you needed a lot more for that hammer to deem you worth. Um, Reading online, some people basically thought that Steve Rogers felt guilty prior. Um, and he was able to alleviate that guilt. And once that occurred, he was able to pick up the hammer, and he was really worried. Fucking Thor loses it and is just like so excited. He's like, "I fucking knew it! I knew it!" Um, there's a scene where they're all drinking at a party in Avengers Ultron, and everybody's testing out trying to pick up the magic hammer, and Captain America almost, he just kind of moves it just a little bit, and Thor gets a little anxious, but no one else was even able to move it for an inch. So I appreciate that there's at least setup to that, but man, I'm not that big of a Captain America fanboy. I was really, really wanting some more vision, and I was just so fucking let down. Like, I was unbelievably let down. I was like, yeah, sure, because fucking Captain America needs a hammer. I appreciate that he uses it, but then it just gets silly because then at the end of the movie, right, like he has to go back in time with Mjolnir and give it back to Thor, who's on Asgard. And then, he goes and lives out his life. I don't know how the fuck that works. I was talking about the two Captain Americas. He has that shield, so I don't know. He's obviously the Captain America somehow. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make little plot holes. Little plot. There's a lot of good things they did in this movie, though. There's a lot of awesome actions, a lot of funny things. The deal with Nebula, though, the way they make Thanos learn that people have gone back in time, man, what utter garbage. So there's two Nebulas existing, and they have this line. It's just, oh man, it's such utter garbage. It's unbelievable utter garbage. Right? Nebula is like 90% android or cybernetic. She's basically a fucking robot. Her limbs, everything, basically mechanical. It just looks like part of her face and her eyeballs are the only thing that's not mechanical. And they have this line where they're torturing the original Nebula from like 2014, and the futuristic one has gone back in time, and the one that's being tortured has like a momentary lapse, and for some fucking arbitrary reason it shoots out the conversation of the entire plan that the Avengers had about them going back in time to find the stones. Like, just for some reason, that exact moment had to be shared with the other Nebula and literally outputted as a projection to fucking Thanos. Like, it wasn't like the previous 10 minutes of her life. It was just the absolutely most important information that there was no way for Thanos to know. And so they just come up with this line of her cybernetic network is being shared with another consciousness, and that consciousness has a timestamp on it, which proves that it's another Nebula from the future. Like, oh my god, no. Take that writer, go out back, and shoot him in the face. That is the dumbest, just scientific garbage I have ever heard. So, I don't care how futuristic your systems are, if there are two computers sitting next to each other, they don't just magically fucking link up and send information back and forth to each other. Like, it doesn't matter that it's the same thing. I mean, you could argue if they were in close proximity and they're literally like standing next to each other, that maybe they have like a wireless frequency and like one knocks the other out or something, or there's some overlap. But they're literally like planets away. Like, they're in different fucking galaxies. And it's just the worst way to have Thanos realize what's going on. Like, it's the dumbest thing. All they needed to do was have a slight little change what happened because of what we had gone back in time and just a slight little thing. And it would make sense to do it on the planet with Peter Quill while they're finding the stone. And that's what they do, but they just do it in a completely inappropriate manner. They just needed to have I forgot who it is. I think there's the Krill guys that's actually that catch Peter Quill and throw him in prison, right? Like, that's the whole plot line, is he picks up the stone and he gets caught trying to steal the stone. Those Krill guys never show up. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, that was the perfect moment for you to introduce those things. And instead they have them they have War Machine and Nebula knock out Quill. Nebula just sticks her hand into the, I don't even know, the, you know, a power shield that just literally incinerates her hand, basically, grabs the stone and pulls it out. And it's like, at that point in time, the Krill are supposed to show up. And it would be a brilliant time for them to, instead of find Quill, they find fucking Nebula. And, you know, the Krill having the communication with Thanos would then be like, hey Thanos, what's your fucking daughter doing here stealing the stones? And then Thanos would say, my daughter's right in front of me and I'm fucking torturing her. What are you talking about? And then they could be like, oh, well, communicate. Here's the nebula we have. Here's the nebula you have. And then Thanos can go, what the fuck is going on? Figure out about time travel nonsense. And then he can torture the futuristic Nebula in order to access her memories. That's what makes sense, is then having the Krill bring her back and Thanos realizing that there's two Nebulas and then gaining access to her memories that way. Having this stupid idea where just, for some reason, the other Nebula gets literally the most important plan of the entire Avengers series, poured it into her brain, and she just shits it out like R2-D2, like as a hologram. Like, I just, oh, why? Like, why did you go that way? It's the worst possible way to do it. Then, like, Gamora at that time hates her sister. She hates her. And for some fucking reason, all it takes is like 2 seconds of the futuristic Nebula saying, you know, I tried to kill you a few times, but we eventually became sisters. For Gamora to do 180 fucking degrees and say, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna help you and betray my actual sister. Now, I know the tensions between Gamora and her sister are super high, and that Gamora's the soft one, right? Nebula's supposed to be the heartless one, because she literally probably doesn't have a fucking heart. And it's really about Gamora trying to change Nebula and everybody else trying to change Nebula to come to the light side of the dark side. But it just doesn't feel deserved. Like, she literally just shakes Nebula's hand and it's like, alright, we're best friends again. Even though I know you're from the future and all this other shit. It doesn't feel deserved. It's one of those things that when you look at pacing, there's so many stupid things you could have cut out in this movie for it not to be a 3-hour or 2-hour and 45-minute attribute actual better scenes instead of just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna spend 5 minutes here because this would be a great place for us to show Thor being drunk, a bunch of characters from Thor Ragnarok, product placement for Fortnite, and whatever the beer can. There's scenes that I'm like, of all the things you could have cut out of this fucking movie, why is this here? Is it literally just here because you were paid for fucking product placement? Like the scene with the fucking car with Tony. when Tony finally decides he's gonna make the time, he drives up in that fucking sports car, and I don't even know what it is. It's four fucking hoop symbols. I'm not a car guy, but they're like, we need to have him start from the other side of a field and just fucking haul ass all the way around, and then go speeding past Steve Rogers and back up so we can get this glorious shot of this car because we got paid product placement money. We really got to put this fucking car in this film. That whole scene is useless. There's no reason for that scene. They could literally be standing inside and have Tony walk in. Fucking owns the place. Like, there's no reason for that car scene except for product placement. So, wag my finger at that. That's bullshit. But yeah, I mean, I could probably just sit on here and get all day. Now that I look at the time, I realize it's been going for 50 fucking minutes, which is kind of crazy. But instead of just sitting here hating on things, I'll try to highlight a few things that I thought were good. I love the battle scene at the end. I said I could do without it if you had rewritten the entire storyline, but at least after sitting through 2 hours and 30 minutes, you just wanting to see the Avengers kick Thanos' ass, you finally get it. There's a moment where I thought that you weren't, that when all of the people showed up, I just thought that was going to be the end. Because we hadn't heard anything about the next movie, and it's like, could you imagine if they did that? If they were just like, alright, we'll stop here. Like, all of the Avengers and everybody else across the planet have shown up. And the next movie will just start with the all-out war. And I legitimately thought that's what was going to happen. There's such a like all of that thrill and everything, like they all pop up and everybody's like, yeah, and the music kind of dies down, and it really just feels like this is where you fucking cut. Like, Thanos sees all of these fucking people coming, you see all these portals being opened, and yeah, like, you could stop right here. They're like, nope, we're gonna give you that huge scene. And from a CGI perspective, I'm sure they just threw all kinds of money at that. I'm sure that was a huge bulk of their budget, is just that 10, 15 scene. All those fucking aliens, all those things attacking each other. It's truly hard to pay attention to what everything's going on. They do really well at just randomly pointing towards a character, letting you see them, do their special move. There's a scene where that Asgardians riding on that Valkyrie. There's this giant fucking worm ship. They just slowly pan up to her in the sky. She pulls out her fucking sword, and the camera just flies right with that Pegasus. Cuts all the way through the long side of that worm. Like, in like another one next to it, you can see like Scarlet Witch is using her red power, like bring it down. Like, you can see that there's teamwork happening, but it's really good at focusing on one character at a time to give everyone their moment, right? Trying to include every fucking possible character from, I don't even know how many movies it is. I'm just gonna say 20 because it seems like it's ridiculous. Seems like it's over a dozen now, so man, I mean, it's a great scene. It's a really good battle scene. There's lots of lightning. I like that Thor utilizes his lightning power. He doesn't forget that he's quote unquote God of Thunder, God of Lightning. I would have loved more Hulk, man. The Professor Hulk is just such a comedy gag. And I don't know, like I talked about before with the power levels, they really changed things around in this movie. They buffed up Thanos without any of the gems being super strong. I mean, if you fucking remember, right, there's a moment where Thanos has all of the gems, and uh, Captain America has his shield up, and he's literally like holding that gauntlet back, and I'm like, that's with the fucking gems in the glove. And Captain America for a second is like standing toe to toe with him. Now, as soon as fucking Thanos activates like a power gem or a reality gem, completely different story. But it showed you that, fucking Captain America was like unbelievably strong. It's so flipped in this movie with the power levels. Like, I especially with the way I showcased Thanos in that first 16 minutes of the film. Um, that guy not wearing armor, he gets beheaded like anybody else. So when they face him now, it's like, why aren't you just annihilating this guy? And he has less of a reason to fight you. You have all of the reason, you have all of the intent, all of the emotion. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's literally just because they're so emotional. They're bad at fighting. That Thanos is so cool and collected. But the power levels are just all out of whack in this movie. Thanos is just fucking handling them, man. And it doesn't seem like that's the way that the other movies support. And I would have just loved for it when he was just manhandling Captain America and Thor. If fucking Hulk had just popped out and been like, just gone full fucking Hulk on him, taking him out. But alas, seems like Hulk is done for. Seems like Hulk's not gonna be here. The Vision, he's not gonna be here. Black Widow, Natasha's not gonna be here. Captain America, I mean, he's retired. Be another Captain America, I guess. Iron Man, he's not gonna be. Five. It's a lot, right? Yeah. Seems like everybody else though will get their day. There should be, I'm sure, lots of new content coming out. Like I was talking about TV show wise, I think Hawkeye's supposed to get his own TV show. Heard some talk about Scarlet Witch getting a TV show. I don't know what to think about that though, because if Scarlet Witch does not have Vision, I don't know, and she doesn't have her brother either, like Quicksilver, unless it's a prequel, or the happy time with her and Vision. I don't know if I would watch that. The things that I'm most interested about seems like I can't get into unless it's prior to the Thanos snap. I don't know if I want to watch a television series that's post Endgame because it's not that interesting. You've built up to all these things. I don't need to know their happily ever after story. I'm wanting to know stuff when they're in the bulk of it. They're in deep shit, basically. That's the most interesting storylines to me. So I'm not sure I'll be checking out though, such shows as Scarlet Witch. Um, Hawkeye, I'll be interested in if he's the ninja version, but if he just reverts back to I just got like a bow and arrow and I haven't like gone through the emotional loss of my family. Again, like that end of his story arc is way more appealing than the prior. Before it's just a dude running around with a bow. Like if he died, who would care? The only reason you would care in the previous movie is because you gave him children. If and that's the thing about him and Natasha is they're just like they're loner assassins. They die. It didn't really have any weight. I guess that's why you can say that it's okay for Natasha to die by the Soul Stone. Is it's just there's the team will weep for her, but again, because she's that loner philosophy, something else. Well, it's almost at an hour. Think of anything else I can talk about. Um, I don't know if Gamora is alive. It seemed like Gamora was alive. The 2014 version that goes back in time. I saw some people discussing online whether or not she made it through the snap because she's technically part of Thanos' army, but it's not like a monkey paw. It's not really a wishing well. Um, they treat it that way, but don't see her dissipate into dust. Nebula is still there, but it's our version of Nebula, not the old version of. Um, but Quill goes to look for her, and it's just like searching, searching, searching. I assume she's alive. I assume she just left afterwards, but I think it's weird that she did because her and Nebula have that relationship, and Nebula clearly stayed. Um, but if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a thing, it seems like that would be the plot line. Plus, fucking Thor is with them now. Um, I don't know. I guess that will be a fun movie if it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and it's Thor on the ship. And because Gamora 5 years ago, he doesn't have that relationship with Quill. So it'll literally have to be like Quill trying to woo Gamora all over again. Uh, Volume 3 is definitely something I would watch. I enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. It really tickled me to death when I saw Drax in that last fight scene, running up to people, jumping on their backs, and doing his stabby thing. Groot. He didn't do anything in this movie. I don't think Vin Diesel, the voice actor for Groot, had to do any lines because they probably just used what he said from the previous movie. And man, I don't even know if he makes it into 10 seconds of this movie. Rocket Raccoon is definitely way more prolific, but I don't think Bradley Cooper did what you interviews or didn't do any tours for this movie either. So I wonder what that's all about. I would love to see more Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and that's definitely something I'll have an interest in Volume 3 if that happens. In terms of the other series, though, like Iron Man, I guess that's done and over with. I don't see his wife taking up the emblem, and daughter's too young to do. Um, Captain Marvel, I don't know. I might go back and watch it. It's just Superman. I don't have an interest in doing the Superman thing. Um, Thor, yeah, if you do your own movie, Thor, I'm sorry, I don't care. You being in Guardians of the Galaxy though, that's that's like perfect. I appreciate that. Your last movie with Ragnarok was good and if not great, but oh man, the first and the second one not so much. So I wouldn't be seeing another Thor movie. Then Guardians of the Galaxy did. Um, Spider Man, I don't know. Nothing wrong with Tom Holland's version of Spider Man. I liked the previous one. Really good. Small scene with a small villain. You know, town level. They're not trying to save the universe. They're not trying to save the world. Just trying to clean up things in town. Um, I could probably see another Spider-Man movie, but I wouldn't be super hyped about it because, I mean, uh, this version of Peter Parker is a very sad and depressing Peter Parker who has lost both his father figures. I guess Aunt May's still alive, but damn man, I don't know how Peter Parker manages to get through life without having that father figure. And that's man, him and Tony's relationship. It's a little tearjerker, you know. When Tony pretty much goes back in time to save Peter Parker. Moment where he picks up that picture frame, and that's when he decides, you know what, I'm being selfish with my own kid. someone else's kid out there. He was a great kid. And he died because of my fuck. Goes back in time to, that's part of it, is he wants to see Peter again. So that's a little tearjerker moment when he gives Peter a hug. Once he comes back from the snap. There's a lot of good moments like that in the film. You can tell Hawkeye's about to lose it when he gets that phone call from his wife. He knows that it's really her, and the reverse snapped work. Yeah. And as much as I despise what they did with the timey-wimey stuff with Captain America, that last scene where he's sitting there dancing with his wife, it's a great scene to end on. If you're trying to highlight all of the happy notes, I can appreciate that. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for me. I appreciate anybody who's been listening to this. This has been Avengers Endgame spoilers. Obviously, made it this far. Hope you saw the movie and I didn't just ruin that 3-hour movie for you. I guess you can look forward to more TV shows probably popping up on Disney Plus here in a year. But yeah, I guess that's it for me. I'll have a great night.